All right, thanks for joining us on the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenhard, and today we have our preferred partner, Cory Garber, with Gulfshore Plumbing Contractors, and one of our top producing agents, Ted Stout, with Realmark Realty. Welcome, and I'm excited to have you both on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about waterfront properties and the do's and don'ts of plumbing and everything in between. So without further ado, we're going to dive right in. Cory, if you could start out and tell the listeners a little bit about who you are.
Well, my name is Cory Garber. I'm originally from Naples, Florida. Grew up here. Family's been here multiple generations, and I just love plumbing. What I do.
You're probably one of the few that actually grew up here then, huh?
There's a few of us. Most people leave. Some of us come back.
So did you leave? That is a famous one.
I did leave. Left for a few years, went in the military, came back.
What branch?
Army.
Awesome.
And
what did you do in the Army?
Went to Barron Collier High School.
Okay.
The Army's, I can't mention that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. No worries. We'll keep that one off record. Secret clearance at that point, right? Well, cool. We'll talk about your business a little bit more. But you invited Ted Stout on the podcast, and we're super excited. So, Ted, if you could give us a little bit of an overview of who you are.
Okay. From Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in this business for the last 22 years. I'm a second-generation realtor. My father owned a large brokerage in Atlanta, and he was also a real estate developer. I basically came down to Florida State, loved Florida, wanted to get out of the big city and live on the water, and I had an opportunity to come work for my father for a little while, and that's how I ended up here.
Nice. And what year was that? When did you come down?
That was early, 1998, 2000, right around there, back and forth for a little bit.
Okay. You miss Hotlanta up there?
I don't miss the traffic. Do I miss the culture, and it's, the population's a little bit more diverse. I miss that, and there's younger people and there's older people. I miss that. But overall, I'm quite content where I'm at, and I don't think I would change.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you both on the podcast. So, Cory, can you get us up to speed? You said you love plumbing, right? What do you love about plumbing? I love that.
Well, I guess when I came back to Florida, my father, he owns a plumbing company.
Okay.
So it's kind of how I got into the business.
Yeah.
And it's just different being out there. Every job is different.
Right.
That's probably the biggest part of it. So whatever challenge I get involved in, it's a new challenge.
Yeah.
Somebody might say, well, you hooked up a sink here, you hooked up a sink at the next place, you hooked up a sink at the next place. Every job is different. You have different customers you're dealing with, different personalities, different challenges, different material. So every day feels like a new challenge. So that's personally what I love about it. And then the relationship building with the customer is the other side of it, because I love to meet new people instead of, I've never been the guy that could be in the same office every day with the same people. And it just kind of felt.
You're not a 9-to-5er.
No, it's just too static.
Yeah.
I like the challenges to come up daily.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think any of us in this room are 9-to-5ers, right? Yeah. And you can't really be a 9-to-5er, especially now running businesses. So that's awesome. Now, what I obviously don't know, because I'm not a plumber. Can you explain to me like a little bit more of like what a day-to-day operations would look like for you?
From the perspective of being the owner or being a plumber?
Both.
Yeah, it's crazy. It starts out in the morning. Our job is very stressful. We're probably the same as a real estate agent, because you're always on the go and you're always under fire, especially in today's economy, where everybody wants everything right now.
Right.
We see a lot of that.
They don't want to wait.
Yeah.
And especially with cell phones and social media, they really, and I'm sure it's the same thing with Ted everywhere. So if somebody calls you and you don't answer, they're calling the next plumber.
Yeah.
They're not waiting 15 minutes. They're not waiting a half an hour.
Yeah.
If they miss getting a real estate agent, I'm sure they're on to the next real estate agent.
Right.
So we're dealing with that. So we're trying to respond immediately. Well, it's plumbing. We have a lot of emergencies.
Right.
Okay. So then you have to take the emergencies, You take, I work for contractors as well, so we're doing renovations and new construction. And those jobs you have scheduled out. Well, due to supply demands, some jobs are ahead of schedule, some jobs are behind schedule.
Yep.
Okay, then you mix in your regular stuff where somebody just bought a faucet at Home Depot and wants me to install it. So you're trying to combine all these things on the schedule at once and that person calling in the middle of your day with an emergency.
Right.
And it's a loyal customer. You want to get to them right away. So that's basically how my day goes. I probably take 40, 50, 60 phone calls a day. And it's the balancing act of trying to keep everyone happy. And, you know, and that's really what every single day is.
Why did you become a business owner? I mean, you could have worked for other plumbing companies. So why did you want to go start your own?
It all comes down to the way you want the clients to be treated. There were companies I worked for in the past where you get on the job, maybe the person's got a unique situation, and I'm not in a position as an employee to be able to help them. You know, you have to count on the guy you're working for. I got really blessed and lucky with the way watching my father run his company. And he had everything set up as like an assembly line. I mean, there was a standard. This is the way you do it, period. And it worked great. And every company I worked for down here just didn't quite have the system I was comfortable with. So needing to be in charge, I mean, that was the main reason. It wasn't even about the money, which, you know, plumbing pays well. But it was more just about having the ability to help people and make the choice myself.
Well, great. Well, you've helped Ted quite a bit. You also have a great relationship with Ted, and you come recommended by other top realtors within the community. So kudos to you. Ted, can you get the listeners up to speed here on your real estate? Obviously, you had mentioned your father, and can you touch on that a little bit more and where you're at within your real estate career?
I run a small brokerage, which is really run as a team, and we're really a boutique real estate company. So we focus on waterfront properties and more of the higher end product in the area. So it's not run like a traditional brokerage, it's run like a traditional team. And on that team, I'm the team leader, and I basically do most all the listings. And then on the team, we sub out the buyers to buyers agents, and we have admins. The team's about 9 people right about now.
Awesome. You looking to grow? You looking to sustain?
You know, we're a little bit bigger than what I call a SEAL team, which is easy to manage. You know, around 6.
Yeah.
So, and some of my 9, they're couples.
Okay.
So I kind of count them as one.
Right. And that's good because people want to do business with, you know, women, the wife, or
yeah.
something.
We're in a really awkward situation. We're going to do about 174 deals this year.
That's awesome.
And so the problem is when you start to scale, you're going to have to start to staff, and then now you have staff. Now I have to manage people instead of managing deals and clients.
Right.
And so it's, you know, I don't know if I'm probably not going to grow any more than I am right now. Probably going to try to hold and just see if I can stay status quo.
Okay.
Have you had trouble trying to get staff?
Actually, we're hiring a person right now to help to do our multimedia and marketing, like an assistant. And yeah, so I ironically, you know, we're in a crazy time right now. I just hired another personal assistant less than 4 or 5 months ago. Out of 100 people, only one person showed up. I never told her she was the only one. She's on this podcast. She'll know you're the only one who showed up. You got the job.
Wow.
You know, this go around today, we've probably got, I don't know, probably 10 candidates for a similar job. So I think now that the federal government aid is gone, you know, people are getting back to work, which is a blessing. So we're starting to see more people having to work. They don't have a choice. You know, they can't sit on the couch and take the government check anymore.
By the time this podcast airs, I hope I have some, but I'm hiring right now as well.
Yeah.
And it's a unique time to try to bring on people. I agree with everything you said. I think it kind of people got spoiled, you know, kind of throughout the pandemic. Like, I can kind of sit back and still collect something and not have to do much. And so hopefully that doesn't interrupt or impact everyone's work ethic and moving forward here. But there's definitely some A players out there, and we just got to find them.
Right.
I think that's the tough balance when you go from being a smaller company to growing, is keeping that quality control.
Yeah.
on how you built it up, that relationship. Like for one point, you know all your clients.
Right.
But as your team gets bigger, then your team starts knowing the clients.
Correct. Yeah.
And you still got to be able, like you said, manage them and watch them. Same with, my guys that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
They start building the relationship with the client, and I still have to watch the quality control so it still falls, where I want it to fall.
Buck stops
So
at you, right?
That's another thing you got to balance.
Yeah, for sure. So Ted, did you always want to do real estate because of your father? Did you dabble in a different career for a while, or how'd you get into,
So I actually was a film student at Florida State, wanted to be a movie producer.
So you feel right at home with all
yeah,
these
I was
cameras and audio.
I can picture
So
that.
I went out to LA, hated it, went to New York, hated it. I did do a lot of commercials and, corporate video type stuff in Atlanta. And I came down here and, there was nothing. There's no, what do we have? One Fortune 500 company in the whole area, Hertz, maybe. Yeah. So there's not really a demand for that type of service here. So my dad was in real estate, and I decided to do that. And then, I was just naturally good at it. And so I wouldn't say it's my passion, but I'm very, very good at what I do.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, with both of you guys, what has been the biggest influence in life, whether in business and family or just in general? But what would you guys say your biggest influence, and maybe who?
Wow. I've been very blessed with my family. It always starts out with my family. My grandparents were amazing on both sides, my mother's and my father's. My father with his plumbing company, he is doing really well up by Tampa. Even my friends. I'm just blessed. I've been lucky to have people around me that you can see them succeed, and you learn off of them, and then they ask you questions, you learn off of them. That's probably there's not one person I would put in my life that was the biggest influence. Mm-hmm. Just the people around me. I've been very blessed to have good people that surround you, and you ask them questions. That's the biggest thing you can do. Mm-hmm. And how'd you do this? How'd you do that? You learn off each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say my father was probably my biggest influence in my life, and giving me some advice. I remember one thing he said. You can't buy your reputation; you have to earn it. And that's something that stuck with me for a really long time.
Yeah. What would be the best advice you'd give to someone starting a business?
Well, why don't we spin that and say, what's the best advice I give to somebody getting into real estate?
Yeah, that's your expertise.
So, I've looked up to Gary Keller, and this really came from Gary Keller, and then it was refined by my real estate coach. Basically, Gary wrote a book called The One Thing. And what it basically says, if you could just figure out the one thing that you could do to make you successful, everything else will fall in place. And so my one thing, being a real estate agent, is I've got to get 3 listings a week. I get 3 listings a week. Everything, it doesn't matter. I don't care what's going on. Everything else will fall in play. But if I fall back on that, then it's, the train's going to stop. And so just to be able to focus on one simple thing and just try to master that one thing and do it really well has been a huge thing. And that would be my advice to somebody getting into the business would be, hey, figure out what your one thing is that's going to make you super successful, and then find a mentor or coach, who's been around the block who can help you. Because, there's no reason we got to learn how to remake the wheel.
Right. I had great advice when I got into this industry about the wheel thing, and I say it all the time. I already said it, but it's it's about taking that wheel and rather than reinventing it, and just going really fast with it, right? Like you can learn from such amazing people in this world, through books, audio, or in person, right? You just told me that there's people surrounded, your family, your friends. You think about that, and it's just there's so much knowledge.
Well, honesty and trust is. For me and my clients, probably the most important thing. Mm-hmm. I got to be able to tell that person what I'm thinking, and they know I'm not just trying to sell them something.
Right.
I'm actually trying to help them, and they believe me.
Right.
That was one thing growing up in Naples. My grandmother always told me, especially with the older population we have here, mm-hmm. just be honest. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to make mistakes.
Yep.
Everyone's as long as you fix the mistakes, you go from there, and you're honest with the client. You don't try to hide it. Honesty is the one thing that the older population will always, respect.
100%.
And I agree with that. Having known Cory, here's a guy who gives more than he takes, which is great. And I can call him and I can rely on him, and he does exactly what he says. He does it at a fair price, and it's such a relief to know that if I've handed an issue off, I know it's taken care of.
I will say, and Ted follows the same values, and thank you for saying that about me, but he does follow the same values with his work and his clients as well.
Okay.
So always responding to them and getting the thing to, he gets the job done.
And one thing too, Ted, you've looked out for other people too. Obviously you were featured on the cover of Real Producers, but he's also, you've nominated other people that you see up and coming within the industry, which is super cool. And it's just goes to show your integrity and that you're out to help, other agents, other partners, other people, because we're all in it together, right? You need him to be able to close the deal, but you also need to be able to step away. And that's the most important thing is here's a task. I have to step over here, and you got to make sure it gets done. So it's awesome. Cory, what is something an outsider would not know about your industry and that you think they should know?
It changes day to day. I mean, in today's world, I assume a lot of people understand the supply issues we're having, which are huge. So things that used to take me 3 weeks to order now might take me 6 months.
Wow.
I actually installed a tub faucet at a house in Marco about 6 months ago. And then because of COVID and they restructured some of the manufacturing, they actually had, and it was leaking. It was a tub faucet leaking at a customer's house for 6 months. So we just shut the water off to it because the manufacturer wasn't making the replacement parts until September of this year. So we waited 6 months on a brand new faucet I sold somebody, and it's a horrible feeling. You're like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But supply issues right now are the biggest thing that people may not understand, that we're really having a hard time keeping up with stuff. I've always got the plumbing snake if they have a clog, but if we have to order anything, it's just not simple anymore.
Right.
So hopefully that goes away soon.
Let's hope. Everything's stuck on ships, right? Ted, what do you do to make sure that so many deals get closed?
Well, it's a good question. So I was asking my assistant today, we've done 174 deals this year. And what you don't realize is of 174, maybe 70 of those we really sold 3 times. So what's happened in this marketplace, which is crazy, is there's such a high demand and rush for the buyers to get in and do the deal that I lose maybe one deal because the buyer flaked out. They never saw the house. They rushed in because they missed out on the last 5 bids. And now they finally seen the house during the inspection period and like, oh my God, I hate it.
Right.
So that's one issue. My second issue is appraisals. So I'm losing probably a third of deals to appraisals. They're just not appraising. The market's moving way faster than the appraisers are, and the data's old, and so we lose a third there. And then my last one that I'm losing stuff to that Cory's been a great help in helping prevent is inspections. So I would encourage agents to try to do in this market what I call a pre-inspection. And a pre-inspection is I'm looking for grenades, only grenades. So I'm looking for, hey, I got a bad roof, I got a bad AC, I got a seawall, I got Cory polypropylene pipes. Huge problem. You can't get insurance.
Right.
As a cash guy, I really want to come in and do it. And basically, I got to have that fixed before I sell the house. Now, let's say I do the deal and I come down to the wire and, oh my God, it has pipes. Well, the deal's dead. I got to start all over again. And so after doing all these deals over and over again, we're like, listen, we're going to go in and pre-inspect everything, and we're just looking for hand grenades. But pipes are a big one. Termites and Chinese drywall are another 2 that pop up every now and then, rare, but they do. But having somebody like him saying, hey, I need a bid, or I need the pipes redone in a week. It's an emergency. The deal's not going to close. The buyer's got to be out of their house. We have these really tight, stressful deadlines, and you basically got a homeless family you're dealing with. It's not just about the money. It's about huge inconveniences and huge life-changing problems.
Right. And then you have to align with Cory and those, crazy schedules. So, that's why you're getting so ahead of it, because then at least if it is a, repiping, you can say, hey, we have at least 3 weeks to do this rather than 1 week.
Right. Yeah. It's a big deal.
That's why it's important to have, somebody like Ted that's on top of the game.
Right.
Catches those things beforehand.
Keeps your stress level just a little bit lower.
A lot of that.
All right. You guys are both successful individuals. What keeps you guys motivated?
For me, it's really about the clients. I don't lose clients. I keep getting more and more, but it seems like the longer I've had them as a client, the more they become actually kind of like a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You can joke around with them. You're honest with them. They trust you. Once you built that relationship, that's what it's all about for me. Getting the text messages or the feedback from them, like, thank you so much. I'm glad you made it out here. Appreciate you taking care of me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what it's all about, is making someone else, solving their problem.
Right.
If I can go home at the end of the day and I know my clients are happy
Mm-hmm.
and they're thankful, and I always know when they have no problem paying the bill.
Yep.
But I do keep it fair, and that it's all about the clients.
It really is.
The money is fine, but it's about having the people that are happy and appreciate and enjoy your service, and you can feel good about yourself when at the end of the day when you go home that you did something right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to enjoy what you do. It's awesome. What about you, Ted?
Yeah, my business is similar in the sense that, basically I'm a very creative problem solver. When we have these huge problems in our business where, hey, I got to sell A to get to B, but how do I do that? I need the money from A to make these deals work. And so we're constantly working with clients trying to find creative solutions that have the least amount of impact on their lives. And so that's a motivator, being able to help them and saying, hey, I've done this 100 times and I can do this for you. And this is how I did it. And being able to educate them and say, hey, it's doable. This is very, very doable. A lot of them don't realize it's doable. They just don't, they've got to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that motivates me is trying to encourage my team and watch them grow. I've got agents under me, and it's just amazing to see how well they've done, how far they've come. And I just don't, I got people knocking on my door every day, unlike Cory, who want to work, and I won't hire them. I only hire somebody I think I can really help. And at a certain point, I can only help so many people. Mm-hmm. So everybody on our team, my goal is to do very, very well and be very successful.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we are running out of time. So we have our last little bit. It is a speed round at the end. So these questions, as always, neither one know what these questions are. Some are kind of fun. Some are goofy. So we're going to run through them. Quick answer. And if you want to say a couple words on why, that's fine. So would you rather live in a cave or live in a treehouse?
Treehouse for me, for sure.
Oh, that's a tough one. Where's the cave at?
I don't know. I kind of was leaning towards a cave too, but I actually grew up with like a tree house and I loved it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I love tree houses.
But I don't know, I feel protected in this cave, and I one entrance. I'm the kind of guy that sits in the back, has to look at the door the whole time.
If I never have to get down, the treehouse has a better view.
Yeah. That is true. Would you rather have a pause or a rewind button in your life?
Rewind.
Rewind, yeah.
Definitely rewind.
See, I say pause, but we're in different stages of our life, I think. Because I don't want to rewind. I just want more time to enjoy and or figure things out. I feel like, we're going quick. So
well, you can. I think I've spent a lot of time pausing, but now that I've paused enough in my life, there's a few things I would like to rewind.
Can you give me one of those pause buttons?
Yeah.
I want one of those. Would you rather be able to control fire or water? In big picture, obviously.
Water, because then you can put out the fires.
I'm a water guy too, so I love the water.
Being able to control fire would be pretty awesome. All right, would you rather live without internet or live without AC and heating?
Oh, live without the internet for sure.
Yeah, same with me. I don't AC down here. I can't imagine. I don't think this place was livable before they had AC. If you look at the timeline.
I do agree with you on that. Now, here's the caveat though. go out to like California where it's like pretty mellow temperatures.
That's different. That's not here.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Would you rather hear good news or bad news first?
Oh, I think bad news. That way you always end on a good note.
Same with me.
Would you rather be on a survival reality show or a dating game show?
Oh, dating game for sure.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of done with that. Survival.
Come on, Cory. That's not the truth. You're the dating king. What are you talking about?
Oh gosh. All right. Last one. Would you rather have a flying carpet or a car that could drive underwater?
I'm going to back up for rewind button, right? You got the rewind button.
All right. Well, we'll
So
activate it.
I got to go back to the dating thing. Yeah, survival's easier. That's the other thing. Easier than dating. Flying carpet would be cool. It'd be a lot easier, especially with if anybody's been around Naples the last 10 years knows, and I hate, don't yell at me from the big city if the traffic's, a lot worse there, but our traffic here is getting worse and worse.
It is.
I would love to just have that carpet, fly right out to the beach.
Not me. I'm going to be James Bond. I'm going to be pulling up in the Lotus or whatever that was on the beach and just
Oh,
right
yeah.
out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Those VA.
That would be me.
Yeah, I love scuba diving, so I don't know. Obviously, my background is aviation, so I flew, but flying carpet, just kind of move around. I think that would be it. All right, guys, we're out of time. So, all right, as always, Southwest Florida Real Producers extremely thrilled to have you all on here, and we're pumped to bring Real Producers on air. So stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thanks so much
Thanks for inviting us.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys, and you guys can find all their information in the description below.